Hello and welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social. I am Graham Hughes and it is Tuesday the 14th of October 2025. No man, the year! What's the year? But first of all, before we move on, I just want to say a big shout out to everyone in the chat. We've got Plum in there, we've got Miss Paula Thomas. I'm sorry that the names have gone back to the at names. YouTube did this yesterday, possibly during the Vodafone outage that affected a lot of people. Good job I have two SIMs in my phone at the moment because I've been away. So who else have we got there? Graham Haller is in there. L Butterfly Chaos. We've also got Diz is in there as well, and Veg Pie and Shropshire Chris, Paula Thomas, Sarah Davis, SG. Bunch of letters. Morning, everyone. Hello, SG. If you'd like to join our friends in the chat here with your beautiful and sometimes difficult to read handle showing up, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button. Just wait for a minute and then you'll be able to join in. But don't be a troll. Don't be bigoted. Don't be horrible. And don't get into arguments with other people in the chat because that's not what we're here for. This is not a debating channel. This is not a mass debate, okay? This is not what this channel is here for. This channel is here for discussion, not necessarily to sling mud at each other. Although that does happen now and again, but not my intention. Not my intention by any stretch of the imagination. So let's have a look at what we're talking about today. So yesterday, we saw the release of 20 of the Israeli prisoners who have been taken captive by Hamas, hostages, and they were released. There was 28 bodies that were supposed to be given back, but only 4 of them were, and they are still being identified, I think. So there's still something to be done there. And at the same time, over 1,700 detainees and prisoners, Palestinian detainees and prisoners, have been released into Gaza. So the question is, what happens next? What happens next? And you're going to have to bear with me a little bit this morning because I have developed a cold. It's fine, just a dose of man flu. I'll get over it. But if I do need to blow my nose or I do need to cough or something like that, I will mute my mic so you're not drawn into my coldy world. I don't want to transmit the virus over the internet through my microphone here. So anyway, hostages freed, ceasefire signed, Trump's self-congratulation. So what we're going to be doing today is asking what happens next. And we're going to be breaking down this 20-point peace plan, which it turns out it was actually there a year ago. This exact plan was there in place a year ago. It could have been acted on, but it wasn't because the authorities at the time didn't want to deal with the Biden administration because they were on the way out. And then as soon as Trump got in, instead of going for this peace deal straight away, he decided that he would, back Israel for any mad shit they wanted to do. Give them all the arms that they wanted, and thousands of people died in the last 9 months who probably wouldn't have died had that peace process been accelerated back at the beginning of Trump's term. But, a bit of a background to this. So the plan, this 20-point plan, was unveiled on the 29th of September, 2025, 9 months too late as far as I'm concerned. And it had been negotiated with Qatar, Egypt, Turkey, and it was triggered by in the aftermath of the Israeli attack on Doha, the capital of Qatar. This isn't good. Israel can just about get away with attacking Iran because Iran hasn't got many mates in the area. Don't forget there was the Iran-Iraq war all through the 80s. Iran is a Shiite country, majority Shiite, whereas Saudi and the Arabian Peninsula countries, generally majority Sunni. And as a result, they tend to club together, the GCC countries, whereas Iran is increasingly isolated on the world stage and in the region. So, attacking Qatar, just from a geopolitical point of view, that is a mad thing to do. Absolutely freaking insane. And they did it to try and kill some Hamas people who might have been in Qatar at the time. They had intelligence that they were in Qatar. I mean, under normal circumstances, that could very easily have been a justification for a wider war with the whole of the Middle East, pretty much, versus Israel. And I think we were all quite lucky that that didn't kick off, because that would have resulted in horrific scenes, absolutely horrific. That would make what's happened in Gaza seem small in some way. And what's happened in Gaza is absolutely horrific. 67,000 people killed, many of them women, many of them children, killed under collapsing buildings. Entire cities razed to the ground, every single building damaged in some way. Many of them collapsed. You extrapolate that out over a wider area, obviously, it just equals more suffering. So I'm glad that it didn't all kick off. And what happened instead, by the looks of things, is that the region well and truly ganged up on Netanyahu and said to President Trump, who just does what he's told. He does what he's told by the people giving him money. Hey, listen, we gave Saudi saying, we gave your kids $2 billion the other day. And he's like, yeah, I know that. And Qatar's like, we gave you that $400 million jet the other day. He's like, yeah, I remember that. And he's like, oh, well, now we want you to do something for us. Tell Netanyahu to fuck off and sign this deal, or agree to this deal. So yeah, we've seen the ceasefire which is nominally began on the 8th of October, although there was still fire going on. But hostages were exchanged over the weekend, and this is domestic gain for Donald Trump. He'll be peace prize politics. He went on yesterday about how he's stopped 8 wars this year, which isn't true, but he likes to imagine that he's this amazing force for stopping wars, when actually his policies have actually caused more wars. Because if he had got in hard on Putin, for instance, instead of tickling his belly, chortling his balls, then I don't think that Putin would have felt empowered enough to invade Ukraine. So there's a war that I think, the beginnings of absolutely lead back to Donald Trump's relationship with subservience, submissive, lapdog-like relationship with Vladimir Putin. And that's just one example of when he says that, he's going to invade Panama and he's going to invade Canada and Greenland. And what signal does that send to the people running places like Eritrea, who claim they have a bit of a land, that they want more land from Ethiopia and vice versa. And then you've got the border skirmishes that they've had in the past with Djibouti, and you've got other countries around the world that have eyed certain areas on the border and said, oh, I wouldn't mind having a bit of that. And Trump has sort of given the green light to that. So in the round, I think Trump is going to cause more conflicts around the world, not least because he's encouraging climate change to change even faster than it already is. There was a report today on, I think, the Guardian website about houses that are just uninsurable in this country because they're going to flood because of climate change, and now they're uninsurable, and there's nothing they can do because they can't build a wall around the rivers to stop them flooding. And even if they did, it wouldn't make any difference because of the way that the drainage system works in these places. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of homes in a time when we have an acute shortage of housing because of greedy landlords, greedy, evil landlords. We're in a lot of trouble, and Trump wants to accelerate that. And one of the things that's going to cause a lot of ructions in the coming years is going to be people migrating from one area of a country or one area or one region of the world to another, one continent to another, because of climate change, because the climate has changed and they can't live where they live because they can't breathe underwater. Simple as that. Half the population of Bangladesh live below sea level. good luck with holding back the tide like King Canute. So yeah, but you know, Trump regards this as his thing about getting the peace prize next year. But also the big thing for me more than that is the pressure that was put on Trump, or put on Netanyahu, I guess, via Trump, from his Arab partners after the Doha attack. So Israel can say, well, it's achieved most of its military objectives. It has taken out a lot of the power of Iran. It has taken out Hezbollah. The leadership of Hezbollah is in disarray. It's taken out the leadership of Hamas. In fact, it killed the leader of Hamas over a year ago, so I don't know why they were still pissing around killing civilians when, you know, the top brass had already been taken out. And they've also made some inroads against the Houthis. Now, here's where things get a bit complicated, right? Because do you know who else hates the Houthis? The Saudi Arabians. The Saudi Arabians have been bombing Yemen for ages now, for years, because they don't like the Houthis. The Houthis are nominally Shiite Muslims, and they don't, and the people in Riyadh do not want a Shiite government in the, you know, next door to them, essentially. And so, yeah, they're going to take them out. And then you got American warships that have been attacking Yemen as well. And yeah, that all works very well for both Israel, because that's the axis, isn't it? It's Hezbollah, it's Hamas, it's the Houthis, and they're all being funded one way or another by Iran. So they've disrupted that funding process. They've successfully disrupted that funding process. They have disrupted the weapons flow. And so here we are. So yeah, the phase one of the plan, we're going to go through it. We're going to go through the phases. The first is the ceasefire, which we've had. All hostilities halted, front lines frozen. Hostages freed within 72 hours, which has happened. Prisoner swap, which is including 1,700 detainees and prisoners, 250 of whom were lifers, people with life sentences for their crimes, who have been released. Humanitarian aid to enter immediately into Gaza, which has happened. And the stumbling block here, and what you're going to be hearing a lot about today, is going to be the fact that Palestine has only handed over Gaza. Hamas have only handed over 4 of the 28 deceased hostages' remains, and Palestinian ex-detainees are reporting torture and also lost family. So focus there. Focus. There's been accusations of torture on both sides. Don't forget the hostages that have been released. The Israeli hostages have also claimed torture as well. And then we've got phase 2, which is about disarmament and security. It's about the demilitarization of Hamas, the destruction of tunnels and infrastructure, which I don't think there's much left, to be honest with you. There's the International Stabilization Force, I think it's going to be called, the ISF, which is going to be US, Arab, and EU troops that are going to secure Gaza. There's going to be amnesty for Hamas members who disarm and safe passage for those choosing exile. There's going to be training of a Palestinian police force. But then, you know, there's all the tricky bits in this of, you know, who verifies disarmament. Then we go into phase 3, which is about governance and reconstruction. Transitional Technocratic Palestinian Committee under a international supervision will be set up. There'll be a board of peace chaired by Trump himself. Okay, which is going to include Tony Blair for some reason. UN and Red Crescent will be overseeing the aid distribution, and the long-term goal is to hand governance to a reformed Palestinian Authority. So at the moment, Palestine's in 2 parts. It's in the Gaza Strip. It's in the West Bank. Sorry if I'm teaching you how to suck eggs here, and you know this already, but just to explain, Hamas is in control of the Gaza Strip. The rest of it, the West Bank, is under the control of what's called the Palestinian Authority, which is not a terrorist organization and not seen as a terrorist organization. It's run by a guy called Mahmoud Abbas, I think. So the long-term goal is to hand governance over to this authority, but a reformed version of it. So here's the 20 points of the Gaza plan. One is for Gaza to be de-radicalized, terror-free zone. Redevelopment for the people of Gaza. Number two. Number three, war ends immediately if both sides agree. Front lines freeze. All hostages, alive and dead, return within 72 hours. Obviously, we're sort of halfway there on that. Israel releases, number five, Israel releases detainees. And amnesty for disarming Hamas members. Safe passage to those leaving is number six. Number seven, immediate entry of aid and infrastructure, rehab, water, electricity, hospitals, etc. Aid only to be distributed by the UN and Red Crescent. Rafah crossing to reopen. That's the Rafah boarding crossing between Egypt and Gaza, which is a bit of a coordination nightmare, but just get that stuff in. We've got the Technocratic Palestinian Committee governing which will govern temporarily under a border peace, which is what I've mentioned with Trump as the chair and Blair as a member of that. Trump's economic panel to design Gaza's rebuild using modern miracle city models, which is a Dubai-style fantasy, but whatever. It might be a touch of neo-colonialism to all this. They can't do their own thing. They can't build their own buildings. I mean, obviously, we'll have to do that for them because, Just a little segue. Just as a little tangent. I read a story this morning about the new superwood. Woke up and found this superwood on the internet, and effectively, it's stronger than steel. It's stronger than steel. So what it is, you get a piece of wood, right? You put it in like a chemical bath, and you compress it. And because the cellular bonds are so strong in wood, you can then use that wood that you get to create fixtures and fittings. Normally you get like a chair, but it's the bits that hold the chair together, the nails, the screws. They're made of. I mean, if you're clever, you can make them out of dowels, but generally they're made of metal, aren't they? Well, this new revolutionary new wood will allow you to use wood as we do with metal right now. And it is substantially lighter than steel. It's a lot less energy to produce this stuff. And we could be seeing wooden skyscrapers getting built in the future, which excites me. I would like to see that. I think it will look fucking awesome. Like the Tower of Babel, kind of made out of wood. But we'll have to see. We will have to see. Steady, Al. Steady. This Dubai style fantasy, whatever. It's part of the plan. Number 11, special economic zone with preferred tariff rates, which is like a free port experiment rather than statehood, but whatever. Then no forced displacement, encourage people to stay and rebuild, which is quite a welcome line if it's honoured, because one of the big worries that we had a few months ago was this idea that Trump and the Israelis seem to want to clear Gaza of the people of Gaza. So that's good if it's honoured. But then Hamas is excluded from all future governance, all weapons destroyed, total eradication of Hamas, which I guess needs to happen. And this isn't something out of the ordinary. If you remember, in Northern Ireland, at the end of the Troubles, with the Good Friday Agreement, part of that was that the IRA had to put all of their weapons beyond use. So I don't know, drill a hole in them and bury them somewhere. But yeah, there was if you remember back then, there was a lot of discussion at the time of whether the IRA actually did that or not. But whatever we did in Northern Ireland seems to have held so far, touch wood. It's not great, not perfect, but neither's life. We're silly, squishy human beings, and we make mistakes, and we fuck up, and we try to do what's best. And with all the best of intentions, things can blow up in our face. And sometimes when we sometimes even wrong uns like Trump do something halfway decent, almost accidentally. He kind of fell into this situation. It wasn't he wasn't in power when it actually started. But I do find it interesting that this could have happened a year ago under Biden, but the political will was not there because they were like, oh, waiting for Trump to be president. So yeah, Israel will not occupy or annex Gaza. This is the 16th point, and it withdraws as the ISF takes control. And this is a conditional pullout only after the demilitarization of Hamas. So, but the fact that Israel has signed up to this effectively, whether they stick to it or not, we'll have to see. But I think that is a really important point. Sorry, I missed out a couple there. Number 14, regional partners guarantee Gaza poses no threat. Arab states will act as security guarantors for Israel. ISF to train Palestinian police and secure borders within Israel and Egypt. That's point 15. Point 16 was the one about Israel not occupying or annexing Gaza, which was a big fear of ours. At 17, if Hamas rejects plan, aid only goes to what they're going to call terror-free zones. So if Hamas is cropping up anywhere in Gaza City or in Haifa, they can just say, well, we're not going to send any aid there because it's still being run by Hamas, which is, if you're going to talk about how to get people to bend to your will, this is quite a canny thing, because this is like, when a school teacher says, like, this kid's been naughty, so you can go out, naughty kid can go out and play on the yard on their own, but the rest of you have got to stay here because of that kid's naughtiness, that peer pressure from the rest of the kids. I think you shouldn't do this because it's not good dynamics for running a school. That's probably why I'm not a teacher. But yeah, that same kind of mentality of like, that it's all that kid's fault that you've had that thing taken away. So what the plan is here is to go, it's Hamas's fault that we're not getting aid into this area. If Hamas would fuck off, we'll bring aid in. And that the idea is it will turn the population against Hamas. And, the population of Palestine, from what I've seen, especially Gaza, from what I've seen, they are sick and tired of Hamas. They just are. But then again, from what I've seen, people in Israel are sick and tired of Netanyahu. So, they want to launch interfaith dialogue for mindset change, which is number 18, which it sounds a bit woolly, but whatever. I'm all for George Orwell rather than war. So yeah, have a conversation, bond over how much you both like falafel, and both circumcise your children, and both don't eat pig meat, and yeah, bond over the things you can bond over. The importance of Friday to your the weekly calendar of worship. Obviously, Friday is the holy day for Muslims, generally speaking, when they go to mosque and pray during the day. In the evening, as soon as it gets dark, that's the Sabbath for Jews, and that's the point where they stop doing anything. Some Jewish people don't just turn the phones off; they turn the lecky off in the house. They disconnect the doorbell because it's seen as working. That's what they do. They have, every Friday they have a meal with their family, and they take it very seriously. Phones off at the table, to the extreme. But I mean, good, it works. And then during Saturday daytime, that's still the Sabbath until it gets dark, and that's the time when Jewish people will spend the day sort of reflecting, I guess. But yeah, they can bond over Fridays. There's lots of things for Muslims and Jews to bond over. They worship the same God. There's slightly different flavors of the same religion. Yes, interfaith dialogue, which I welcome. Number 19, if the Palestinian Authority reforms succeed, pathway to Palestinian statehood may emerge, which is important because obviously the big countries that need to acknowledge statehood for Palestine, I mean, the big one is the USA. If the USA acknowledges the state of Palestine, that is a huge game changer. And if Israel do it as well, and don't forget what kicked this all off, okay? Because yes, Israel is to blame for a lot of this shit. And Netanyahu is to blame for a lot of this shit. But what was happening behind the scenes just before October the 7th, 2023 is worth noting. Because Israel was making steps to normalize relations with the likes of Qatar and Saudi Arabia. Normalizing relations means mutual recognition of each other's countries. Once that happens, it opens the way for more diplomacy, trade, obviously, and also the flow of people from one place to another. Like if you had an Israeli passport in the past, you couldn't go to Qatar. If you had an Israeli stamp in your passport, you couldn't go to Qatar. You couldn't go to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. In fact, don't know if this rule's still there, but you couldn't go to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia if you were Jewish. Never mind if you had an Israeli passport or an Israeli stamp in your passport. You weren't welcome if you were Jewish. So this was a huge step towards normalization of relations and peace in the Middle East. And Hamas couldn't have that. And it's one of the reasons why Hamas launched this horrific attack on October the 7th, 2023, which gave the Israeli government under this insane right-wing criminal bastard Netanyahu a carte blanche to do what the fuck he liked, to roll in with the IDF and just blow everything up, kill as many people as he liked, get away with it, torture prisoners. Just the stories of the torture that have been taken place are beyond horrific. There's footage out there, CCTV footage of horrific things, which I'm not going to go into this morning because it's a bit too grim, it's a bit too fresh. But they did some horrible things. They did some really, really horrible things. But yes, no guarantee of sovereignty as yet. But the idea that a pathway to Palestinian sovereignty, statehood, will emerge is really, really important. And the 20th point is about US establishing dialogue for peaceful coexistence, which just sounds like photo op language, But there's some good stuff in there. The really good stuff is that Israel has to get the fuck out of Gaza. There's an international group that's going to go in and maintain the peace in Gaza. That Hamas needs to fuck off, and that granting amnesty to anyone who wants to down weapons and go into exile, who's part of Hamas, fine, whatever. I've got no love for Hamas. You can fuck off. They gave the most right-wing, most warlike Israeli government that it's ever had, and that's saying quite a lot, absolute free reign to rain down fire on the Palestinian people that they're supposed to represent. I kind of imagine I remember that Nigel Farage creep, that posh, disgusting, toad-faced arsehole, that massive traitor, that Nigel Farage saying, "Don't poke the Russian bear, don't poke the Russian bear," and I'm like, it's a fucking cardboard fucking bear, mate. It's a paper fucking tiger. What are you talking about? But don't poke the Russian bear. Scared of, well, if we upset him, what are they going to do back to us? And that was for Britain, a country that has nuclear weapons and can very much defend itself and is part of NATO, a consortium of a group of 32 countries around the world, including the US, that say they're going to, all go in, all for one and one for all, if we ever get invaded by, I don't know, Russia. Gaza doesn't have that. Gaza's a sitting fucking duck. And what do Hamas do? They hand the fucking golden grenade to Netanyahu and go on, mate. Bastards. Absolute fucking bastards on both sides. But, I mean, that pisses me off because they knew what would happen. They knew what was coming down the line. They took these hostages. They knew they killed over 1,000 people on that day. 1,000 Israeli citizens. They knew what was coming down the line. So, yeah. Okay, let's talk a little bit. Got any stuff coming in? However, Chrissy, given the amount of surveillance of the Gaza Strip by Israel, I find it interesting in pick up on the plans for October the 7th. There's an argument that they might have. And they might have let it happen because they wanted the golden hand grenade. Your mileage may vary. Martin, Paula, there's a reason Hamas exists. It may change its name, but Israel has ensured it isn't going away. Yes, but I think that there's still people in Northern Ireland who would like to have a united Ireland and would be prepared to kill for that united Ireland. But we had the remnants of the IRA with the real IRA, didn't we? And we had that horrific bombing after the Good Friday Agreement, and that was kind of the end of it. It was like people just didn't have a stomach for it anymore. We're like, we're done with this. We are absolutely done. Don't poke the Russian bear. Exactly the same line a guy who admits taking Russian bribes used. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Nathan Gill, the refuck leader of Wales for a time. Apparently, good friend, a decent, honourable man, said Nigel Farage, working for the fucking Russians, working for the Ruskies, fucking traitor, hey? Like Kim Philby, yeah, fucking traitors. This had been the 1950s, they would have been executed for working for fucking Moscow. That's what used to happen to you in the 1950s. It's a fucking slap on the wrist. Although he's admitted eight counts of being a fucking treasonous bastard. Traitorous bastard. Anyway, I wibbled on for half an hour, and I do realise that I should get some super chats in. So I'm gonna do 10 super chats, and you've got 45 minutes. Don't worry, I'm gonna go on a little bit, and it will release the confetti, the confetti, the confetti. What's the emoji called of the little? I'll just put party. There you go. That's it. Confetti. So I've started the goal there. 10 super chats, any colour, any amount, to keep this. Put 50p in the idiot. To continue on the way we like. I'll talk about this a little bit more, and then we'll go over to the papers. So let's talk about reactions and reality check to this 20-point plan. So Israel, Netanyahu has already ruled out a Palestinian state, but who knows? He might not be in power much longer, because people are going to be pissed with him. The far right are going to be pissed with him for allowing this to happen, and the far left are going to be pissed with him for being him. And the centre ground are going to be pissed with him for allowing this conflict to continue and the hostages not come home, and they could have come home a year ago. The Palestinians, the Palestinian Authority, lukewarm reception to this, but Hamas is split internally, which you can imagine. And part of this peace plan is set up to try and split up Hamas, try and set Hamas against each other. That's why they're given clemency to anyone in Hamas who downs arms and agrees to go into exile, which would mean going down the road to Egypt in reality. Martin Harrow, trying again. Google Pay wouldn't let me yesterday. I'm sorry about that, Martin. It's probably Vodafone's fault. But thank you for the first chat of the morning. It's all good. Cheers, Martin, says Diz. There is no consequence for Israel if they break the ceasefire. Well, I think there would be, because Trump will get it in the neck, wouldn't he? Everyone would go to, Trump, you said there was going to be peace and there wasn't. You failed. And if there's one thing Trump hates being told, that he's a fucking failure. That he's a bankrupt. He's a bankrupt human being. Yes. Alice Sturm there. Viper Scott. To get things started, Graham, let's get the party started. Let's get some confetti in the chat. So when we hit the goal, we get confetti in the chat. But we're calling it confetti because, Trump. And by the way, after this show, I'm having a meeting with our friend Mike Dix, because we've been working on a little animation together. It's going to be a live animation show. So it's going to be me and Mike doing the voices of these two characters. And we're going to have your comments coming through. But obviously, we're going to be doing the whole thing in character. It's going to be a little bit South Park. It's going to be a little bit like commenting on what's been going on in the world, but not necessarily from mine and Mike's point of view. By the way, if you are in Brighton, I don't know if any of you are in Brighton, but if you are, have a look. Keep your eyes open when you're out and about today for any bus stops that have Mike on the bus stop, on the picture, on the advert, on the bus stop for stopping smoking. And there's a picture of Mike and talks about his leukemia and his bum cancer. And the fact that he gave up and he's so much better now that he has given up smoking. Well, actually, as our friend Scott said last night, it's not giving up. It's not giving up. It's just stopping. It's just stopping doing something that is harmful to you and the environment, everyone around you, and it fucking stinks. It stinks. It's a horrible smell. Just stop putting your horrible smell everywhere. I don't spray you with fart gas. Farticles. Here, I'm going to put my farticles all over your clothes so your clothes smell of my farticles all day. Anyway, so have a look out for Mike. You might see him on one of these ads. Please don't draw a curly moustache on him because that would not be funny. Or a knob on his head. Don't do. Yeah, take the Sharpie away. Anyway, so back to Israel. Back to Hamas and Gaza. So Arab states are cautiously optimistic. But seem a little bit distrustful of like the whole Trump oversight thing, but they understand that Egypt and the UAE and Saudi and Qatar and Turkey on their own can't really push Israel to do something that Israel doesn't want to do, whereas America can. So they need Trump. So that's just a situation we found ourselves in. Ooh, at Resloy 812. Hi, Graham. Can you give a shout out to Socialist Telly YouTube channel? They do great content. Thanks. You rock. Great show. Oh, thank you so much. I love it when someone says I rock. I rock. Yes, I got a shout out to Socialist Telly YouTube. Please go like and subscribe to Socialist Telly YouTube channel. Sounds like a good name for a channel. Maybe we should change the name of this channel to Politics Socialists. We have our names on our sleeves. I love this idea that Phil gets this a lot, doesn't he? He calls his channel a different bias, and he gets people in his comments saying you're biased, and he's like, yes. I would argue all media, social or otherwise, is biased. Of course it is, because it's written by humans, and humans are biased. We have our biases. We just do. Anyway, so we've got the Arab states are cautiously optimistic. Russia and the EU. Well, I mean, there's been arguments that the plan is too vague, which I don't really hold with that. I get why it is a bit vague. I get that there needs to be wiggle room and there needs to be language that can be interpreted in different ways because this is the way that you put together a peace deal. It just is. It's just diplomacy. It's like when we see Starmer standing behind Trump, thumbs up. Oh, well done, Mr. Trump, and you're sitting there cringing your ass off because you're like, what the fuck, man? Why are you doing this? He's a gobshite. Why don't you just tell him he's a gobshite? Why don't you just do a Love Actually and tell the American president that he's a gobshite to his face? But diplomacy, you can't do that. That's why I couldn't do Keir Starmer's job. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, to be honest with you. Having to smile and nod while that fucking crimson twat, tangerine twat, talks absolute bollocks, drivel. He does the weave, which is just rambling on. Couldn't do it. But yeah, diplomacy. That's the thing, diplomacy. Ms. Paula Thomas, £5 super chat. Thank you. If I recall correctly, the last time Israel broke a ceasefire, the punishment was to be given more weapons. I'm laughing, but I'm crying inside. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right, Paula. I feel really, that the power that America has over Israel is very rarely used in the way that I think it should be used. But don't forget, like past ceasefires have just been kind of half-assed agreed between Hamas and Israel, and neither have really had the fucking heart in it, and there's not been a big song and dance made about it. And there's one thing Trump does well, unfortunately, is make a big song and dance about something, because it's all WrestleMania to him. UN officials are quietly worried about the lack of clear accountability mechanisms, and yeah, that feeds into what Paul has just said. And there are risks ahead. Implementation could stall over security disputes. Who does what? Gaza factions could refuse to disarm and be labelled terrorists again under a different name, which has also been pointed out by the chat. Trump's ego and re-election narrative that he wants to get re-elected in 2028 could undermine credibility. Reconstruction funding may be tied to Western policies, or Western politics, I should say, so that now that an agreement's been made, say, with Trump and with Starmer and with Macron, they all get knocked out in the next few years, and someone else takes their place, and they say, well, I didn't sign it. I didn't sign up for that, which is always a worry. Chris C, thank you very much. £2 for the coffee fund. Oh, thank you, Chris. It's really kind of you. You keep me and others sane. Oh, thank you. And Chris, you keep me sane as well. And people in the chat keep me sane, because I know that I'm not going completely mad each day when I read the news and go, what the fuck? But, super wood. I want to try and throw at least one good news story each day. I can't wait for things to be made of fucking wood again. Wood is amazing. Wood is just the most awesome thing we have on the planet to build stuff with, and I wish we would do that more. And I understand that concrete is supposed to last longer. Supposed to. But explain to me then why thousands of bridges and tunnels and viaducts in America and in the UK and across Europe are having to be, which were built in the 60s and 70s, are having to be rebuilt because the cement, the concrete is falling apart. Falling apart, my friends. Falling apart. Oh, wow, it doesn't rain, it pours. Look at this. We've got another £5 super chat comment. Thank you very much, Daylight M. That's very, very kind of you, my friend. I am hoping that when the nightmare across the pond is over, they hold military tribunals of all those goons in that administration. It could well happen. It could well happen because they've broken so many laws. Andy says, bloody hated when smoking was in pubs. Walking through the haze, leaving a hole in the smoke layers, eyes streaming, and I'd dive outside every now and again. When I got home, shower. Yeah, Andy, I've spoken about this before. I worked in the Union Bars in Manchester. So that's the Manchester Academy, the MDH as it was back then. Well, it was the Serpent Bar, which is next to the MDH. And then it became the Solar Bar, which is downstairs. And then the upstairs, which is the Hop and Grape. And then after that, I worked at Fab Cafe for nearly a year. And both places, it was smoking, because this was 1997 to 2000. And 2001 actually. And smoking, everyone, all the time. And we had shirts to wear, Fab Cafe or Union Bar, whatever. And we needed about fucking 4 shirts, because every night when we get back after work, we'd have to put the shirt in the wash. You could not wear the same shirt for 2 shifts in a row. You just couldn't, because it stank. Because the smoke impregnated. Like when you're near a bonfire and then you get the bonfire smell, which I quite like actually. But the bonfire smell in your clothes, you've got to wash your clothes. It's just, there's no two ways about it. So that used to do my head, but also at the time I had like longish hair and my hair would smell of the smoke. And then if I didn't have a shower, and I wouldn't get home till like 4 a.m. sometimes, because we were they were all partying until 2. Then we had to tidy up. Then I had to get home. So it might be 4 a.m. before I got home, and I had housemates. I had other people living there. I couldn't just have a fucking shower at 4 a.m. and wake everyone up. So like I'll go to bed, and in the morning my pillowcase would smell of smoke from my hair. I mean, fuck off. Like smokers, honestly, fuck off. Oh, and let's not mention all the asthma that they cause and the deaths of children around the world. 400,000 children die a year of secondhand smoke, mostly in developing nations. Yeah, there's a really good movie called Thank You for Smoking, in which there's a representative of the smoking lobby, the arms industry, and what's the other one? It's either alcohol or gambling. It's probably alcohol. And they call themselves the merchants of death. They're not wrong. They're really not wrong. Anyway, let's get off smoking for a moment, because otherwise I will bang on far too much. I mean, holding to my philosophy of like, I think you should be able to do anything you want to your own body. Fine, but I just don't want it around any other human being because it's fucking radioactive. It's radioactive. Do you know it's radioactive? Yeah, it is. Anyway, I don't know how anyone can afford it these days. I think it's £20 for a pack of cigarettes now, isn't it? In the UK, it's £20, isn't it? How does anyone afford that amount of money to spend every day? Literally rolling up. Remember we had pound notes? No, I don't remember pound notes. I was in the era of pound coins, but old pound notes. Imagine buying a pack of old pound notes, 20 of them, and then smoking them all. What a weird thing to do. But I'm going to set them up. I'm going to set these on fire. Is it going to do you any good? No. It'll do you a lot of bad, though. Anyway, so yes, I've spoken about the sort of reaction, but also I want to talk about the risks ahead. The fact that, the implementation, the idea that factions of Hamas refusing to disarm could be branded terrorists again. Trump's ego, that's a huge worry in the future for, if he feels like his good name has been sliced in some way. Jesus Christ. And Israel's far-right coalition might undermine any return of the Palestinian Authority to Gaza. And then we've got, the fact that there was a lot of joy in both Gaza and Israel yesterday as prisoners came home, as hostages came home. And that's worth noting. I mean, that is, it feels like we've moved on a lot from where we were only a week ago. So hopefully, let's hope that kills you. Hopefully, this will be a lasting peace. Fingers crossed. There's a lot of challenges, but there does seem to be a lot of will at the moment to make this happen, even if Hamas and Netanyahu don't want it to. So we will see. We will see. But the real test is implementation, not ink on paper, but actually people going out, aid agencies and the transitional powers and everything that needs to fall into place to make this happen. And, we're old and long in the tooth enough to know that the Middle East, for as long as I've been alive, has been a cycle of hope, betrayal, vengeance, and fingers crossed. That's all I can say. Fingers crossed. Okay, I'm going to go over to the papers now. For the papers, get to the papers. We have got, first of all, the Times. I unmasked the real girl with the pearl earring. Was she wearing a mask? I don't even think she was wearing a mask, but okay. And then we've got 2 years of torment over as hostages reunited with families. Hamas returns 20 captives while Israel frees 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. Trump hails end of age of terror and death. And then we've got the guy holding up the heart thing. This is Avina Tan, who is free after 2 years. This is Avina Tan Or. His name is. He's been held for 2 years. Day we thought we'll never see. Outpouring of emotion as Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners are freed. And then we've got the expert guide to protecting yourselves against autumn's nasty coughs and sneezes. Yeah, just lock down. Just don't go out anywhere. Don't see anyone. Israel's day of joy. Noah's hero is home. And astonishingly, Daily Mail can reveal he kept the fact he's an Israeli Special Forces soldier secret from his Hamas captors for 738 days. Noah Argamani is snatched by terrorists. This is the video that was put up by Hamas. Really grim video, if anyone saw it. Rescued Israeli hostage Noah Argamani's reunion with her free boyfriend was sealed with a kiss last night on a historic day in the Middle East. 20 surviving hostages were released from Gaza, sparking jubilant scenes across Israel and beyond. And then we've got the Daily Telegraph here. Trump, let's end Ukraine war. And we've got Alon OL, who was kidnapped from a bomb shelter on October the 7th, reunited with his father, Kobe, mother, Idit, and sister Imbar, and brother Ronan. He is partially blind after his ordeal. And Trump saying, let's end Ukraine war. Okay, good. You want to roll? You want to roll, mate? Go on. If you want to, I'm not going to stop you. Go on, end it. End it. Tell fucking Vladimir to take his fucking tanks and his bombs and his fucking hand grenades and his landmines and his fucking drones and fuck off back to fucking Moscow. Go find a fucking hole in Moscow, a frozen hole in Moscow to go and hide under and eat some raw fucking potatoes for the rest of his godforsaken life. Richard has joined the channel. Oh, yay! Welcome, Richard. You are awesome. There you go. Welcome, you are awesome. Richard has joined Superstar, which I think is like the next thing up. But you now get a rose after your name. See all the people with roses after their names? They're all people who are members of the channel. You should become a member. You should join the channel. You should join right away. Just hit the lovely join button underneath the video, and you will be able to join us. And together, we will rule the galaxy as father and son. Okay, maybe not. President steals the thunder as hostages finally come home. Yeah, you can say that again. Labour blames Powell's Jr. for collapse of China's spy trial. God, they're really trying to milk this thing, aren't they? The newspapers, we got something on Labour, you know. Don't mention the fact that a Reform politician, the leader of Reform in Wales, the Reform person who was in UKIP and then in the Brexit Party and then whatever the vehicle that the tapeworm that is Nigel Farage was currently occupying, he was part of it, was paid by Moscow to speak right-wing Russian talking points to the detriment of Ukraine in the European Parliament. Absolute traitor. Of course, the newspapers don't want to talk about that because the newspapers are all on Moscow's side, aren't they? The bastards. Anyway, George, who's been a member for 24 months, 2 years. Got lovely long years. That is awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being a member for 24 months, George. George, you are the best. I started smoking 21 years ago. I was 42. I solemnly apologise to you and for all non-smokers for the filthy stench to which I contributed. Don't worry about it, man. It's water under the bridge. The important thing is that you stopped. The important thing is you don't make anyone smell anymore. Not least yourself. But that's one of the things. One of the things that they found with the smoking ban when it came in is it improved asthma rates for children. And the reason being is because secondhand smoke triggers asthma in children. It fucks them up and can cause children to die of asthma attacks, especially in developing nations where they don't have access to Ventolin inhalers like they do in this country, where you, as a child, you will get one for free to stop you choking to death, with asthma. What they found was that because people were suddenly aware of the smell of cigarette and stale cigarette smoke air, they would they started going outside to smoke outside their own houses because they were coming home at the end of the day at the work and they'll come into the house and go, oh, fucking stinks in here. A smell that they hadn't noticed before because the bus home smelt the same way. Oh, they drove themselves home. The car smelt the same way. The place where they worked, the office, the bank, the school, even the school staff room would have smelt like that. So you become nose blind. So you wouldn't notice when you got home that it fucking stank. But suddenly people couldn't smoke in schools. People couldn't smoke in offices and in factories and in the pub or on the bus. And then suddenly people got home, and because they weren't nose blind anymore, they were like, fucking hell, mate. fucking horrible, mate. Oh, fuck. Oh, Jesus Christ. What a fuck is that fucking smell? Oh, my beautiful eyes. Anyway, and they'll go in the back. They'll go in the back and have a cigarette, or they'll go out the front and have a cigarette. And as a result of that, the kids in those houses weren't breathing in the cigarette smoke, and therefore asthma rates went off a cliff. There you go. The health benefits of getting smokers to fuck off for everyone else. Thank you very much for the £5 super chat there from Gillian towards the Strepsils fund. Thank you. That's really kind of you, Gillian. Gillian being very motherly there and going, Graham, sort yourself out. Get yourself some Strepsils, lad. I've got some Strepsils left over from last year. But you know what? Here's the thing with boiled sweets. Like lockets and tunes and stuff. This happens every year. This is an annual tradition. You get a cold for the first time in months and months and months, and you're like, haha, I have some Strepsils. Aha, I have some lockets. And then you open up the packet and they're just all squishy and dead sticky, and they've kind of like fallen apart a little bit. Yeah. And Strepsils aren't too bad because they come in like a blister pack, but tunes and lockets are terrible for it. Yeah, they don't last. They really don't last. And then you got to try and take the wrapping off, and it kind of sticks to the wrapping. And then anyway, although gotta say, I fucking love lockets. I absolutely love lockets as a thing just to chew on. I don't usually have them unless I've got a cold or something, or I've got a sore throat. But I love them. Love them to bits. Anyway, Sarah says, I had to move a truck when I was a HGV driver, and the regular driver was a chain smoker, and the whole inside of the cab was covered in tar and stunk. Yeah. People started noticing it more. People started because they weren't exposed to it all the time, which is, really quite fun. At work, the place to find out what was going on was a smoking shelter. Me and my PA would go out to stand and hear the goss. Well, Martin, I've got to take issue with that as well, because I used to work in an office, right, for a while. And I hated the fact that the smokers were allowed breaks. Like every couple of hours, they'd go outside for like 15 minutes to have a cigarette. I wasn't allowed to break because I didn't smoke. How's that fair? I should be like, okay, I'm going to go out for 15 minutes and collect Pokemon. Oh, actually, Pokemon Go didn't exist at the time. I'm going to go and have a wank. See ya. We'll be back in 15 minutes. Everyone will be like, what? You can't take time off work to do that? I'm like, well, why not? They're taking time off work to have a cigarette. What's the difference? Well, one's disgusting and causes lots of health problems, and the other is having a wank. You see why I don't work in an office anymore. Anyway, so I'm going to go back to the papers now. Prostate screenings could save thousands of lives for £18 a head. This is a campaign to get men tested for prostate cancer, which is prevalent in men when they are in their 40s and 50s and 60s. And it is, like most cancers, if you catch it early, it's more likely that you can actually cure it, or at least get it to go into remission. So that's good. So yeah, £18 a head. Well worth it. Johnson says, don't blame me. Don't blame Boris Wave on me, says Boris Johnson. He's defended his record on immigration and distanced himself from the so-called Boris Wave of migrants. Okay. Mr. Johnson insists the overseas processing plan was a very good policy. We're talking about Rwanda there. What do we do with a problem like Andrew? Which is a line taken from The Sound of Music. There's a song called What Can We Do with a Problem Like Maria? But Andrew doesn't rhyme with Maria. Do you know what does rhyme with Maria? Korea. So when I was going to North Korea, my blog entry for that day was how do we solve a problem like Korea? Because it rhymed with Maria, and they haven't even fucking said it right. Bastards. Anyway, prunes are not fruit to keep things moving. Okay, fair enough. Prunes do not work to make you go to the toilet, according to new research. And Vodafone network blackout hits 130,000 people, which included me yesterday. Me on my home network. Also me on my bloody mobile phone. But I had GiftGraph in there as well, so GiftGraph still worked. But my partner's on Labara. Is it Labara? I always thought labara was one of those piercings that you got down there. It's called a labara, isn't it? Is it? I don't know. Someone's going to tell me in the chat now. Someone who's all pierced up. That piggybacks on the Vodafone network, so that was down as well for a few hours yesterday afternoon, which is a bit frustrating if you were trying to get shit done. GSD, get shit done. Okay, so we've got a similar picture to the last one on the Daily Express here. The long, painful nightmare is over, and reunion pictures there of the families with the refugees. There you go. And, it's a good news story. Hostage twins are reunited. There's some more hostages that were released there. Hug of love. Last 20 Gaza hostages home. Israel releases 2,000 detainees. We did not give up faith. We did not lose hope. Talking about jubilation and relief for Israeli families. Pension raid is high risk. Chancellor warned. Rachel Reeves' budget may hit lump sum withdrawals. I don't really understand what that means, but whatever. I guess if you've taken a lot of money out of the bank at the same time, you're going to have to pay tax on it. I don't know. Prince Andrew should fear the day William becomes king. I love that headline. That is a cool headline, you know? Rob Stark should fear the day that Joffrey becomes king. And how being a brisk walker can beat running up there as well. And then we've got, I'm 6 feet 3 inches. This is what it's like sleeping in London's smallest hotel room. Okay. Is it like a coffin? Tim Curry, I'll choose risky over everything. An interview there with Tim Curry, who's an awesome, awesome chap. Beautiful man. Born in Warrington, down the road from Liverpool, and played Frankenfurter in Rocky Horror Picture Show, which was one of those things that was an absolute touchstone of my youth, of my childhood. I absolutely loved the Rocky Horror Picture Show, even when I was too young to understand what the fuck was going on. It was just great. Great songs as well. Truce brings joy as Israelis and Palestinians are freed. Final 20 living hostages are released after 2 years of Hamas captivity. And also, just to mention about Tim Curry as well, but also Clue, which was one of my favourite films growing up because it had 3 or 4 different endings. And when it came out of the cinema, they played a different ending at different cinemas. So people would have arguments about how it ended because they saw different endings. It was like, here's how it could have ended when it was shown on TV. They showed all the different endings, but which was fun. Also, he was the clown in the TV movie of It, which the first half of which is awesome, the second half is shite. But very, very, very awesome things with him. I'll also include, wasn't he in the Muppets Christmas? No, that was Michael Caine. The Muppets Treasure Island. Wasn't he in the Muppets Treasure Island? He was fucking great in that. It's absolutely bloody awesome. And he was also in Legend with Tom Cruise. Was it Legend? Was that what it was called? I'm probably getting it mixed up with Labyrinth here, but I'm sure there was a movie. Ridley Scott. He did a fantasy film called Legend about, I don't know, fucking unicorns or something. And Tim Curry played this behorned devil character. He's just fucking brilliant. I mean, just such a mainstay of my childhood. And you see him now. He's had a stroke. I think he's in a wheelchair, and he's had health complications, but he's still with us. And I just think he's just he's an absolute national treasure. Why he is not Sir Tim Curry, I have no idea. Perhaps because he played a trans. I know we don't use this term anymore, but transsexual Transylvanian. Maybe that was the problem. But there you go. Anyway, I just wanted to wax lyrical for a moment about Tim Curry because I think he's awesome. And then we'll go to the Metro first, home, and now it is time for peace. And there's also a free coffee there. It's £1 coffee from Costa, which is owned by Coca-Cola, I think still. And then on the Independent, hostages freed at last as Trump basks in praise, which was a bit sycophantic. I'm just going to sneeze. Oh, that hurt my throat. Ow, ow, ow. Anyway, to the Financial Times now. Trump declares historic dawn after final 20 living Israeli hostages freed. And that's a really wonderful picture there of one of the hostages reunited with his mum. And there's a story at the top here. I'll try and get my pointer on. Hang on. Can anything take the shine off Goldmania? And don't bet that AI will deliver a 3-day week. That's from some of the articles inside. We've also got this story here, which I want to highlight. Trump's tariffs backfire on American car industry. It's all the way over on the left of the screen. Thomas Trump. Donald Trump's tariffs were aimed at lifting the US car industry, but instead have sent it into turmoil. Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis forecast a $7 billion hit to earnings. $7 billion hit to earnings. While thousands of components groups reel from higher parts prices, additional monthly costs of $250,000 due to a 50% tariff on steel nuts can be existential for a group with sales of 65 million. If car companies don't survive, what does it look like for the rest of us? That'll be interesting. JP Morgan backs White House agenda with 10 billion America First investments. JP Morgan Chase will take stakes in the companies of up to $10 billion to help fund growth in areas deemed critical to US security. It's the latest sign of Donald Trump's America First policy being adopted by big business. So you got two very contrasting stories there. This one about the tariffs backfiring, and this about getting JP Morgan to invest in the US of A. The United States of arseholes. So there you go. Legend, also Congo and the Shadow. Oh, by the way, the Super Chat goal ends in 10 minutes, my friend. So you got 10 minutes to throw in 4 more Super Chats. Just throw in 50p, I think, or whatever the lowest amount is, and you will get your confetti. Come on, let's do this. Willie says, I believe Tim Curry was in a Terry Pratchett adaptation, although I can't remember what one. Also, the Congo. Oh, what a film, Congo. He also played the Leather Demon in the game Brutal Legend alongside Ozzy, Lemmy, Litterford, and Jack Black. Brutal Legend. Was that a Leather Demon? Brutal Legend. I'm thinking of something else, aren't I? There was was that the one that was set on Mars or something? And it was a Tim Schafer game, wasn't it? Was it the same guy who did Monkey Island and the Psychonauts? Was that the one? Came out before Psychonauts, I think, and it had all these famous rock people in. Am I just making this up? Am I having a moment here? See, what the fuck did I just? I have no idea how I moved the camera there. I think I touched the electricity. don't knock the thing. J377, tell me, Brutal Legend. Is that Tim Schafer? Was that Tim Schafer? Or am I just making that up? Let me know in the chat, my friend. Looks like those car companies are going to leave the US. I wouldn't blame them. Came out about 2009. Tim Schafer, The World Looked Like a Living Heavy Metal album cover. Oh, yeah. I remember that. I remember it was like, it looked amazing, and but it didn't. The gameplay didn't quite hold together or something. I do remember Brutal Legend, but I never played it. Played Psychonauts though. Fucking love Psychonauts. What was I going to say about talking of video games and Tim Curry? Was it Command and Conquer? Was it Command and Conquer, the one where he went, we're going to go to the one place, where we're free to be fascists? Space! Was that it? Was that Command and Conquer? It was like the Red Alert. It was Command and Conquer Red Alert. Am I just making this Space Nazis? Was this a fever dream? I just had this image in my head from like maybe 20 years ago of Tim Curry just going, in space! Just hamming it up magnificently in this video game. Yes! Space! That's it. Ernie Burns, Tim Curry was in Command and Conquer where he says the word space. Yeah. What a dude. What an absolute space. What a dude. Talking of dudes, George only, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Farage is the smoker. Does not surprise me at all. And Mr. Paula Thomas, thank you. Trump doesn't understand supply chains. No, he absolutely doesn't. The one place free from capitalism. That's the line. That's the line. The one place free from capitalism. Space! I'm saying there's going to be people watching this who don't know what the fuck I'm on about and are going, why is he giggling to himself about this Tim Curry thing that I have no idea? But just look it up. Just say it's on YouTube, I'm sure. Space! Red Alert 2. Red Alert 3. Make up your mind. Trump thinks he's playing Monopoly. He doesn't understand the world. Wasn't he with Khrushchev? I think so, yes. Michael Bean was in Red Alert playing opposing characters. Michael Bean, who was in Terminator. He played Kyle Reese in Terminator, and he also played Hicks. I'm Hudson, sir. He's Hicks. I played Hicks in Aliens. Really fantastic Alien movie. I'm sorry, but I want to talk a little bit about Alien Earth, and tell you what, we'll do an episode of Rabbit Hole tomorrow with Rach, and we'll talk about a few different pop culture things that I've been doing, like the Toronto International Film Festival and stuff. But I do want to talk about Alien Earth because it is. I mean, I don't know. I didn't gel with it. I didn't think it was amazing. I thought it was interesting. I'd like to see maybe where they go next with it. But there was one particular plot point, and I know people will be watching this who haven't seen it yet or haven't watched it or want to watch it, so I won't talk about it now, but I will be talking about it tomorrow, and I will give spoiler warnings to say, listen, if you're watching it, I don't want to spoil it for you. Although it's not like a major spoiler. It's not going to like ruin the whole thing, like someone telling you that Princess Leia is Darth Vader's mum or something. Martin Howe, I liked Alien Earth. It had a lot of nice ideas in it, but I think it kind of got dragged down a little bit. But we can talk about this. We'll talk about this tomorrow with Rach on the rabbit hole, in the rabbit hole. 6 o'clock tomorrow. Johnny Ringo in Tombstone. I detest that orange shit gibbon. Donald Dumb. Indeed. Red Alert 3 had playable Japanese Empire. Wasn't it like if the Nazis had won or something? I don't know. There was some... Remember Command and Conquer? It was the original game where you could just send in one engineer into the enemy base, and if they made it into the camp, they could just change the power station into one of your power stations or whatever it was. It was a bit like in Sim City where you could just spend £1 to demolish a building, or $1. $1 bulldozer icon. Click on it. The building demolished, and you're like, wow, that only cost $1. I don't think that, but you could do it in the nuclear power station, couldn't you? And then you'll get like radioactive symbols all over the place. Anyone who went near died. That was cool. They're kids in adult bodies. Yes, yeah, I get that. Anyway, so what next? We have got space for 2 more super chats. You've got 4 minutes and 10 seconds at the moment to get another 2 super chats in, and then you will get confetti. So if you want to do that is entirely up to you. I got to say, like Martin, I about Alien Earth, and I don't want to talk about it today. I'll talk about it tomorrow. But yeah, what I liked about it is it was surprising. It went in directions I wasn't necessarily expecting it to. But it's probably the best Alien spin-off thing since Aliens. I mean, really, going back that far. 40 years ago, almost. I didn't like the stupidity. I'm not talking about the kids in the adult bodies. I'm talking about the stupidity of some of the people in it. Just drove me up the fucking wall. Like, just how can you be so stupid? How can you? And I think that's something that I hate seeing. I hate seeing frustrating stupidity. It's one of the things that drives me up the wall about horror movies, when you see someone doing something insanely stupid. Like, you know, they run into a house, and instead of running out the back door and running away, they run up a fucking they run upstairs, which is stupid. Oh, there you go. We got three super chats in a row. Thank you very much to everyone who dropped the super chat in. Enjoy your confetti. Martin says, "Oh fuck it," and Russ C says, "Space filler," and Pygmalion says, "Go on then," and Colin Baker says something. I'm sorry. I just can't. I can't read it out loud. I'm sorry. I just can't say that out loud. I'll get into so much trouble. So there you go. So thank you very much to Colin and Martin and Russ and Pygmalion and Judge George. I mean, he would, wouldn't he? What? We're talking about Trump again. Thanks for the super chats. Yeah, thank you. Thank you everyone for jumping in there at the end. Just got in under the radar. And goal achieved. We got confetti. We got the confetti. Stupid character in films. They hear a noise and creep through the house to investigate, never thinking to turn the sodding lights on. Yeah. Do you know what I liked watching? Do you know what I found really, really satisfying as a watch? Better Call Saul. In fact, Breaking Bad before it, but particularly Better Call Saul, because I found it really, really satisfying watching people doing things competently, doing things absolutely competently. That they spent ages showing Mike putting together a tracking device, and I was all there for it. They showed Jimmy photocopying these documents to forge them to make his brother think he's going mad, and he showed all the process that he went through to do it, and it was just so wonderfully competent. It showed the bad guy Tony, I think it was, at the end, who he's in this hacienda in Mexico, and Gus Fring sends in the assassins to take him out, and he deals with the situation with poise and grace. And even though he is an evil motherfucking character and he is a bad guy and you don't want to root for him at all, the fact that he knows exactly what to do, he doesn't panic, he doesn't do something stupid, he goes and sorts things out so he will be safe to get back into America, is just, and watching Kim at work doing what she does, working, all night on these files. And when I try and explain it, it sounds like, why would you want to watch someone put together a tracking device? That sounds boring, but watching it, it's that satisfaction, the same satisfaction that I got from watching The Martian with Matt Damon, Matt Damon, where he had to science the shit out the situation. And he made a couple of mistakes, because you would do, which made it more human and made it, that he wasn't like some kind of superhuman. But the practical solutions that he went up against these real problems. And I love the fact that there was no antagonist in that movie. There was no baddie, twirling the moustache, saying, "Oh, I'm going to abandon you on Mars. You're going to be stuck there forever." I love that the antagonist was the situation, that he had to come up with clever ways of getting out, and I find that a lot more satisfying. And I see that as a sort of diametric opposite of the thing in films where you're watching someone with an alien creature in a jar, in me swear jar. Got an alien creature in me swear jar. I just loosely put the top on, put it down, and you're like, can you put the top on the jar? Can you put the... Honestly, if I leave it 5 seconds with the top off the lemonade, my other half will let me know. Do you know what I mean? Just people doing really stupid shit. And that's why I could never, ever gel with something like Alien Covenant, where they go down onto an alien planet and they don't wear fucking spacesuits. They're like, oh, the oxygen is breathable. Yeah, are there pathogens? Are there viruses? Do you know how the aliens die in the War of the Worlds, which was written in the 1800s, right? We've known about this idea that if you go to another world, there might be things living in that other world, microscopic creatures that can fuck you up. Wear a fucking bubble helmet, you dickheads. But no, they just go wandering off. Oh no, what have I stood on? Oh, there's all these spores in the air. Those spores are so pretty. I think I'll breathe them in. Oh, I feel so good now. I've got those alien spores inside me. I sure hope nothing bad happens to me as a consequence of breathing in these alien spores on this alien planet. I can't be dealing with the stupid. I just can't. It takes me out of a film or TV show. People making dumb as shit decisions. And I don't mind so much if they are a character who is supposed to be dumb as shit. But when it's someone who is supposed to be a scientist, supposed to be an expert in their field, supposed to be, someone who's good at this kind of stuff, and they just go and do something really, really daft, takes me out of it. Drives me up the wall. Different pace of show, Burn notice. Apparently they were told they had to pull back on the bits where they explain things near realistic. That's a bit of a shame. I never saw Burn Notice. I'm aware of it, but I might jump into that at some point. But yeah, for the young guns, including Grey in Politics, he wouldn't he? Is a quote from Mandy Reese Davis after John Profumo denied paying her for sex. Yeah, the Profumo affair. But I thought, Paula, that the quote was he would say that, wouldn't he? When he denied it, he would say that, wouldn't he? But yeah, just because I wasn't around when the Profumo affair happened doesn't mean I'm not aware of the situation. So at the time, the Minister of War, was it War still at the time? John Profumo worked for the Tory government, because he was a Tory, of course, and he was sleeping with a model, Mandy Reese Davis. And no, there was another woman, wasn't there? Was it Mandy Reese Davis that he was sleeping with? And she was also sleeping with a Russian spy at a time when, work for the Russians was looked down upon. That's a bit of, 1960s, 70s nostalgia that actually, or 50s nostalgia that the refuckers don't want to take us back to, funnily enough. If it's serious but then stupid, it's stupid. If it's lighthearted and serious, it's still lighthearted. Yeah. That's very true. And I guess the tone of the film is very important. But if it's a serious film and it's not like a jokey film, I don't mind people doing daft things in The Fifth Element, because that's just a fucking romp. I don't mind people doing daft things in Guardians of the Galaxy. That's just a romp, But when it's, it's like, why? Why are you doing that? Christine Keeler, that's the woman. Sorry, yeah, that's right. I was trying to remember what her name was. Christine Keeler. It was bloody gorgeous. But I think, well, wasn't she like? Was she dead posh? Was she part of the Mayfair set or something? I can't remember. A long time ago. I was very drunk. I was a child, drunk on my own sense of superiority. The film Evolution, the best way to beat the alien was to shampoo up its venting hole bum. Dan Aykroyd, wasn't it, Evolution? David Duchovny, I think. I don't know. Have a Nice End of the World was its title, I think. I seem to remember. Anyway, right, I'm going to go. That's it. That's it for this morning. I'm coming up to 10:30, so I'm going to just wrap it up. I just wanted to talk about what's next for Palestine. What is next for the Middle East? Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, everyone. Hope for the best. Prepare for the worst. That's my advice for life, really. Okay, I'm going to head off now. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said earlier, if you would consider joining the channel, that would be absolutely brilliant. You'd get a little, you'd get a rose after your name. Sarah Davis has got one. Paula Thomas has got one. Martin Harrow has got one. If you want one of them, and also you'll get access to the Discord server, and you'll get your name in the credits when I update them, which I might do today, actually. I'm going to write the word credits down on my piece of paper. Someone was, who was I talking to? I was Rachel. I was talking to Rach yesterday, and she's talking about on the Sunday roast, it was really obvious when I was writing down all the different points of the Abolish Landlord scheme, which I then used in my next thing that I recorded. Well, I didn't record it, I streamed with Phil, which went out on Friday. And obviously the Sunday roast is pre-recorded, so it goes out a few days after it's recorded. So it's allowed me to say, oh, okay, you want to know what the policies are then? Here's a list of them, because I had them written down from the earlier show. So it does, I've always got a pad here. I always got a pen in my hand. I always make notes as I go, especially if I'm in with other people, because I realise I pissed a lot of people off by interrupting, and so a good way of not doing that is write down what I want to say while they're talking, and then once they're finished talking, I can say it, because otherwise I do the ADHD thing of if I don't interrupt, I forget what I was going to say. So yeah, that's a way of getting around it. But I've written credits. For Denari, for my life story. So yeah, we'll get that updated. And if you join the channel, we'll have your name at the end of the show. You can also give us a like on here at the end of the video, which is always we like a like, and it doesn't cost anything at all. And if you haven't already subscribed, I know I say this at the beginning of every show, but please just subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, but it really helps the channel out. So if you could do one of those three things, maybe you are subscribed, maybe you've already joined the channel, maybe you've already given us a like, and then, in which case, thank you. You're the best. You're absolute best. I'll be back tonight at 7:30 with Ollie Bowler Hatman for a round of Geoscope, and obviously that's going to be dominated a little bit by what's happened in Israel, but we will be talking about other news stories around the world, so hold on for that. And if I don't see you then, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, 9 o'clock for the next morning brew. And until then, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all the super chats. It's really kind of you. And until next time, hello, good evening, welcome, and